Hello everyone. Once again, welcome to the Retail Math class. This is Julie Zhang, an instructor for this class. You can call me either Dr. Zhang or Professor Zhang. So today we're going to talk about the first chapter of the class, so Introduction to the Retail Math. Merchandising Mathematics for Retailing. We are using the book by Cynthia Eastring and Beth Wust, 5th edition. And chapter 1, part 1. We're going to have 2 parts for chapter 1. And let's go ahead and start to talk about the objectives of the chapter 1. For this class and for the chapter 1, the objectives for this chapter include you need to be able to define retail merchandising. Second, to describe retail store organization and to understand merchandising from a corporate level and a store level, and to recognize the importance of mathematics as a merchandising tool in the achieving of profit. Especially for chapter 1, we're going to talk about definition of retailing and merchandising and retail store organization, relationship of merchandising to other division, and importance of mathematics to buying and merchandising. So if you're not familiar with the terms that I already mentioned, don't worry about it because we're going to talk about that throughout the semester. So part 1, chapter 1, we're going to talk about the definition of retailing and merchandising and retail store organization. So let's start from the definition of retailing and merchandising. Have you ever heard about the terms retailing and merchandising? Maybe you heard about it, but sometimes you will be confused because we are using these terms interchangeably. So these two terms are often confused, but I want to tell you the difference between these two terms and these two important terms for learning this class. Retailing is more like the last step in the supply chain and it moves, the goods from the producer to the final customer. And this retailing definition of the retailing include all the functions involved in obtaining goods from manufacturers and wholesaler and selling these goods to the final customer. So manufacturers mean the people who make the product. So like a supplier who make the clothing or like food to sell to the wholesaler or to the retailer. Wholesaler kind of middleman before they get into the point to the actual store, right? So, or it can be the format of the retailer as well, but it's more like a middleman and they can go to the final customer, right? So that's more like that final stage of the activities to sell the products to the customer. And merchandising, this term is used a lot with the different purposes. This merchandising include all activities necessary to buy and sell merchandise at a profit. So according to the American Marketing Association, any promotional activities or people how to identify the product to make profit to the store can be called as a merchandising or merchandising activities. So it can not only include the estimating customers' needs and wants, planning purchases, buying product goods and making goods available to their customer, and how you can motivate your customer to buy the product. All these kind of activities that involved to sell the product at a profit is called as a merchandising. So do you see the difference between these two terms? And we're going to use these terms a lot, especially in the retail field. So if you understand this term, and we can go to the next slide. And to understand the merchandising, you have to know about 5 rights of merchandising. What are the 5 rights? So when you try to do this activity to sell the product to make a profit, what are the important components? The first, you need to have a right merchandise. So that means that you have to have a right product to your customer. For example, if your customer are a certain age, like 20, then it's more likely to sell something related to that age group compared to you sell something to the different age group, right? So you have to provide the right merchandise to your customer. And second, you have to provide product at the right place. For example, you want to sell the the winter jacket, then you have to think of where you can sell. Do you think you can sell in Hawaii? No, right? It's more likely to be sold in the cold area, such as Minnesota or Colorado or Alaska. It'll be better. So you have to think about the right place. And also you have to think about the right time. When it's gonna be the right timing. So summer product, winter product, you have to provide these goods right before people will come and buy the product. So like summer swimming suit is better be sold right before the summer season. Then people will buy and enjoy to buy this product to enjoy the summertime. So you have to choose the right time. And also right quantities. That means that amount of the product. Whether you're selling in the really big city like in New York, or if you're selling that in Atlanta, and think about that you're selling this item in the small local area or like suburban places, then you have to differentiate the amount of the product is more likely to be sold more quantities in the big cities, right? And right price, of course, and your customer will be different, and some of your customer will be more sensitive to the price, so it's better to choose the right price. And also think about that when you think about the discount stores such as Walmart or Target, what price you expect? All right, the concept is the discount store, so you're more likely to expect the better and low price. So you have to think about your concept of the store, and you have to provide the right price of the product to your customer in your store. And also you have to think about merchandising by manufacturer and wholesaler. So not just the retailer, but people who make it and the big wholesaler and retailer, because you're concerned with the sales and inventory, and you will sell well to make a profit, and you know how to apply mathematical concept to merchandising. So really important, merchandising concept is really important for all these components, functions of the store, manufacturer, wholesaler, and retailers. And also important concept in retail store organization. So we're going to talk about the retail store organization, the form of the retail store and the big company. Sometimes we call it as a headquarter or big organization. And according to Paul Major, he developed this four function plan for store organization in 1927. And these four important functions he developed include merchandising and financial control, store operation and management, and sales promotion. So merchandising, do you remember that? All these activities involved in selling the product to make a profit. And financial control, it can be either how you manage that, price and so on, or overall financial situation according to Marcher. And I'll show you the next slide. This one is gonna be one of the example of retail store organization, because nowadays there are even more functions needed for the store. So you can see more concept addition to this merchandising, financial control, store operations, and sales promotion. This is from the Westfield company, and you can see this organizational chart for the typical retail store corporation. So we talked about the merchandising. So you can see that we have a merchandising here and some financial control, the financial department, and you can see this like store operation, and you can see some marketing promotion here. So these are the four basic important function provided by Mature. But now you can see because of more skills or function needed in nowadays, you know. So you can see more functions available, and they have more departments such as the store construction, maintenance, construction, and also technology and human resources. That means that how you can hire people and labor relation, and also about the land related, so real estate, land purchasing, store expansion as also one of part of the function of the retail store organization. But we're gonna mainly talk about this part about merchandising, planning, buying, product development, especially math. This retail math that you're gonna learn in this class will be applied to many different functions of the store organization, but more likely to be applied in this merchandising, planning, buying, and product development. So it will be very exciting to talk about all these, and we're gonna talk more about details about retail math from the next chapter. So let's talk about the merchandising function. Because of that, all the recent changes in store ownership, also there is like a changes in retail store organization. So merchandising function has changed over the years. So one of the example is about the flagship store. Have you ever heard about the flagship store? And imagine that, what that is. Yeah. The earlier time, flagship store was defined as the original, the first store location for the company. But that concept, the definition of the flagship store changes nowadays, and they can be called as the largest store for the company. So it may not be just one store. You can have more than one store, the largest store around the world or around the United States. Or it can be also defined as a prototype store. That means that your newest store, like a most innovative and new store format that you have. So you can see that this concept also kind of changed over the times. And as you can see, related to the merchandising has been changed because of the changes over the time. And for this merchandising function, we're going to talk about two different concepts. The first one is going to be centralized merchandising. Centralized merchandising basically is talking about all controlled by the main headquarters. So all these four buying functions, including the buying, planning, distribution, product development, will be controlled by the main office. That means the main headquarters, the biggest, the place of the company. So four buying functions for the centralized merchandising include number one, buy. So you have to buy the product, right? So you have to buy the product to sell your customer. So how you can develop the merchandising plans, how you can select, order, and you can pricing the goods, and how you can manage the assortment. Assortment means that types of products. So whether you want to have just like one item or one style, whether you want to have like 10 styles, that's gonna be the assortment. So variety of the products. And planning is gonna be how to analyze the sales history and how you can analyze the market trend and make a plan for the next season or next year or for the next few years. And distribution means that how you can allocate the merchandise to the stores. Imagine that you have one big headquarter like JCPenney is in Texas, headquartered in Texas, but you can see JC Penney all over the United States, right? So how you can allocate this merchandise to the different stores, that's gonna be the distribution. And product development, identify the product idea for internal development. So for example, you can see if you go to Walmart or like a Target, they have many different kind of product from the different vendor. Vendors means that who made the product and sell that product to the retail store. And also at the same time, you will see some private labels, such as Target has Archer's Farm, and Walmart, you can see that the great value. So these are the only product you can buy from these retailers. And especially this private label is developed based on the product development of the company. So you also have to get the idea, identify your own product to your customer. And we call that specific customer for the specific store as a target market. So for example, when you think about some of the stores, specialty store, for example, J. Crew, who are the target market? Their specific customer, they want to sell the product. They're gonna be somewhere like between like 25 and like a 40 age, 35, who are the career woman and man. So these are gonna be the specific target market they can think about, and you have to develop the product based on your specific target market. So we know we already talked about decentralized merchandising. So on the other hand, we can talk about the decentralized merchandising. So we talked about the centralized merchandising as a, one headquarter control all this like buying, planning, distribution, and product development. So buying functions are performed at central office or corporate headquarters, and expenses can be reduced and profits are increased because this is well operated and controlled from the headquarters. Compared to that, in decentralized merchandising, that means that it's not just by the one headquarter. So all these different stores for this company can buy and do different kind of activities. So buying functions are performed at store, not from the headquarters or the central office. So compared to the centralized merchandising, the buyer of the specific store had more closer relationship with their customer compared to the centralized merchandising. So these are like all the big pictures about the concept for this chapter.